What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Namra Consulting Podcast. I'm here with Sahil, Russ, and today we're talking all things AI, Chat GPT, a little bit of current events going on with LinkedIn, and some other cool things that you're definitely going to want to hear. So thanks for joining us, and stick around. So Sahil, Chat GPT has been everywhere. People are asking about it. People are talking about it. TikToks, Instagram. It's very popular in like the pop cultural kind of conversation. Everyone's talking about it, but not everyone has actually gone on to it, created an account, looked into it, because a lot of people don't know what the hell it is. So for the person out there who hasn't done the legwork, can you just give me a quick overview of like, what is it? I get it's AI, but what does that mean?
Definitely. Well, AI itself just means artificial intelligence, right? But what the tool itself is it's an open source AI tool, and it's a chatbot.
Which means open source. What's that mean?
And what open source means in simple terms is anyone can use it, or you're free to integrate it with other apps, right? It's not private. They haven't like locked it to certain entities or anything like that. So really what that means is like if Microsoft, you might be hearing about it in the news, wants to connect it to their search engine, they're free to do so. If another developer has a cool idea that they can use it, they can connect it to theirs. It's open source, so like anyone can use it. And obviously the scale of this is very, very massive in its outlook, but really, in simple terms, what it's been marketed as it's just a chatbot. You ask it to do certain things, you ask it questions, you ask it to do, tasks, and it just spits it out for you in seconds.
Write me a book report on Ferdinand Magellan in 300 words. Go.
And that's really that's really why it's been blowing up. It's the level of what it can just do. All these custom asks that you can ask it, and it still just gives you a response within seconds. It's been crazy.
Is Ferdinand Magellan a guy? It's close.
Magellan is right, but you said Magellan.
Did I?
Yeah, and I kept my mouth shut.
I got.
And I should have.
Ferdinand It is a guy.
Magellan.
Okay, nice.
I think
did
it's
a book
Ferdinand.
report on him. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure we all did.
I think. No, maybe that was Ernest Shackleton.
Magellan was the explorer, wasn't
same
he?
guy.
Magellan was the explorer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's it.
Ernest
So
Shackleton.
Magellan Strait.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. So Chat GPT will like book report, little kids' book reports, done.
Yep.
Over with.
Yeah.
And it's really good at what it does. So that's kind of an overview of what it is. Starts as a chatbot, but really what the long-term game is. They're trying to create the best potential artificial intelligence. They want to mimic basically like infinite intelligence. They want it to know everything, and they want to be able to do everything for you right there.
Exactly, and the reason why it has gained so much popularity, it actually just reached 100 million users, I believe. It was in the shortest
growing
app
ever.
Exactly, and obviously a lot has to do with it. You have everyone from business people to
Musk's invested.
to students to everyone using it, and that's why it's gotten so much exposure. You have students having a type of essays that are reaching less than 10% plagiarism count. So it's like that's how specific you can get it to be, and you have writers talking about it. You have like business people, like I said, for content ideas and stuff. So it really stirs up the topic of, it is obviously very clear that this AI tool has led to a lot of opportunities for creators. But the main topic is, should you be using it as a sole creator?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we want to bring this back to, okay, how does this affect marketing? How does this affect your business, right? Because that's a big way to use it. So yeah, let's go into that a little bit. Can right now Chat GPT replace, any copywriting you need? Can it replace, give us some info on that.
Definitely. Well, if you look at it just from a hypothetical standpoint, yes, it can. If you just need like 5 captions written maybe for a post, and you tell it, write me 5 captions, boom, your 5 captions are there. So yes, replaces copywriting.
Is it good?
Is it good, and should you be doing it? My view on it, at least at this moment, right, where the tool stands and how it's being used, I think it should be used as a supplementary tool, but not as a sole replacement.
Yep.
And there are many, many reasons for that.
So yeah, explain that. What does that supplementary mean? What would you consider like a good usage of it?
So good usage of it would be to at least get maybe started on a content strategy, or to make your content strategy more robust.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
If you're struggling for topics, having it give you some additional ideas. That's how you make
partner.
it's you're making your content strategy more robust.
Yep.
If you're looking for maybe,
a wireframe outline.
exactly. If you just need it to maybe organize your ideas a little bit better, right? Something for that. If you are a person that really wants to get started on the content side of things, but maybe you're struggling with the script aspect of it, helping it, more so on that angle. So there's a lot of supplementary roles that it can take, and that's what I recommend.
Got it.
But to use it as like, hey, you know what, like, go ahead, like, write me all of my blog posts now, write me, all of my captions, write me, like, it just to make it your sole tool for all of your content strategy. That is something I would avoid.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, number one, it's still not at the point where it just is going to replace that human aspect of what it takes in your local market for the copy side of things.
Yeah, you still have to like read the thing over and make sure it's not saying anything stupid or off. Like, it's not perfect by any means yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
It's
aside
perfectly cookie cutter.
Yep.
Yeah, aside from typos and maybe, it having outdated information, to maybe it's just, copy and pasting something that it already said, like, all of that is granted, but more so, like, you can't just replace what your brand stands for, how you yourself talk to your clients and customers, how you want to be portrayed, how you want to be heard. Like, that takes some type of human aspect. So to rely on it, to only rely on this for your content strategy, that could be a downfall, because that could lead to less people resonating with your brand, right? It can lead to less people pretty much being attracted to like what you stand for, because now it's machine written.
Yeah,
you have no story
there's
behind
some
it.
dissonance there with like what your brand standards are, and then it's like, okay, here's an easy way out to do it. So you have to be careful there, right? You have to integrate your brand with your copywriting always. Like, that's part of it. What's your voice, And if you are going to really be consistent with your brand and you're going to try to use Chat GPT, you got to be careful there, right? It's not perfect for everything.
100%.
It is sick, and I think it's amazing. So no shade on that at all, but understand the way to use it properly.
Just supplement, and again, I'm talking about how it is right now.
Yep.
There's all of these talks of it not even being connected to the whole broad landscape of the internet, and they're going to be working on future premium plans and whatnot. The first one actually came out recently, and they have plans to, keep on building. So, like, who knows where it's going to go from here, but where it stands currently, it's a great supplemental tool. But again, that aspect of human touch, like, that's not going to, resonate with it. Yeah. Another reason why I wouldn't recommend that you only use copy generated from it is because these bigger platforms have very clearly came out and have already said that they very clearly like shun upon the use of like AI generated content. Like, Google has released a report where their search crawlers will automatically figure out if this was AI generated, if this was machine generated, and you will get ranked lower because they understand it's not authentic content.
Yeah.
So, and I know there's talks about, Chat GPT is going to kill Google, and, Microsoft, once they incorporate it with Bing, like, Google is going to be a nobody. Like, I understand all this, but right now, Google is still king on the search engine.
Exactly.
And yes, does Chat GPT pose a risk? Absolutely, but I highly doubt that Google's just sitting there in the corner.
You don't think
just
Google
chilling.
has some of that?
It's like, I'm sure they're working on precautionary measures. But that point aside, they are still the king right now in terms of SEO. Like, you want to rank higher on Google, you want to obviously have presence on Google. So like, if they have come out and said like, hey, don't just copy and paste, blog articles from Chat GPT, then it's like, hey, don't do that. Like, they will know.
Yeah.
So again, use it as a supplementary tool, make your current content strategy more robust. and figure out ways how you can potentially draw ideas from it, but don't just think of it as a replacement.
Yeah, totally get that. I just can't wait until like a 16-year-old, like once they start charging like $500 a month, there's gonna be like a 16-year-old on Reddit who'd like, oh, this guy asked Chat GPT to make a new Chat GPT for free, and it's like, oh,
Gotcha.
yeah. So there, I mean, to think that Google is not gonna somehow compete in the future, or at least try to keep up with this stuff, is kind of crazy. So I'm really excited to see where it goes, but that'll be fun to keep an eye on. So all those people out there, if you want to use ChatGPT, integrate it into your content strategy, very good idea. It's stupid to not, but not the total Armageddon of all things copywriting today. Maybe next year, but not today. All right, so anything else you guys want to talk about? LinkedIn released a new report, right? You had some info on LinkedIn you wanted to go over. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Definitely. Yeah. So I know last podcast we talked a little bit about LinkedIn making a rebound, in terms of their engagement. They've made a lot of changes that have brought a lot of users back, and they've continually, stuck to their goal of making it better than it used to be, and really keeping it that professional landscape. So yeah, they released another report. I believe it was their Q4 report of last year, or it could have been
either way,
or an end of the year one. But they had some pretty interesting stats in there. I don't have all of them memorized, but there were a few, such as number one, it got back up to 900 million of users.
It's good. Still a small social media profile, like still kind of a smaller little brother, but that's a shitload of people.
Absolutely. And let me actually rephrase that. So not got up to it got up to 900 million users for the first time. Yeah, not got back up to. So that's huge, because they were seeing record numbers of people just leaving the platform a few years back, just when, there was a plethora of just in-mail spam and all this nonsense going on.
They're growing.
Yeah, they're growing. There was another metric where I believe it said 74% of the people that actually see a properly targeted ad on the LinkedIn platform are actually likely to convert or interact. Which is amazing, because their campaign manager was utter shit before.
Yes.
But to have it grown that much, and to actually track that statistic, to publish it in their report, shows like great strides towards a better ads manager to compete with like the likes of AdWords and Meta, whatnot. So in other words, what that means is, like, if you use Campaign Manager, so LinkedIn's ads manager is called Campaign Manager. If you use that correctly, and you build out your demographics correctly, your target audience, and you actually pick the right objective, if you reach the right people now, you might actually have a great chance of converting. They put that at 74%,
which is
on average.
And now they've always been more expensive, so it's good to see they're actually proving that, hey, it's worth it here to at least try it. So
absolutely,
that's good. And I think this is a really good potential. Like, this year could be big for LinkedIn, because it seems to me, and we've talked about this a little bit, that they are doubling down on, like, okay, we are the B2B guys. Like, we are the B2B platform. They're not trying to be like Facebook. They're not going towards like personal content and things like that. They tried a little bit with the stories. That was like touch and go there. But they just actually released this report. It's a 50-page document. It's called the B2B Effectiveness Code. And this is straight from their website, which is kind of unique. It's a white paper. It's a LinkedIn think tank called the B2B Institute. And so they're doubling down. They're like, if you need B2B, that's what I think they're already known for. When I talk to clients, that's what they say. But they put out a 50-page report. It's got pictures. And from 2010 to 2021, creativity and effectiveness in B2B marketing, the B2B effectiveness ladder. There's some really cool stuff in here. I haven't really dug deep into it yet, but from everything that I can see, I mean, it's really interesting stuff. So again, I don't think it's the most effective platform right now, but I like where they're going. I think they actually have vision. I actually think they have direction. I think that this could be something really powerful for local businesses moving forward. We talk about
100%.
You can invite people to like pages. They're letting you build up your actual business profiles more now, more engagement on business pages. Before, you'd create a business page and like nothing would happen, no traction whatsoever. So more organic reach. So highly suggest, if you are interested in this type of stuff, check that out. Again, it's called the B2B Effectiveness Code, and keep an eye out on LinkedIn. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, another metric actually in that report was they actually saw upwards towards like 50% or higher engagement on video posts as well.
Yeah.
So going off of our last podcast where you talked about them really emphasizing like better video tools and on platform video tools like that obviously has had a direct result because videos are actually getting significant engagement. So
which is
that's
huge.
awesome.
And so basically LinkedIn is kind of getting back to who they are, getting back to their identity as the B2B platform. Another social media giant is doing something similar. We were talking about this. IG is seriously considering focusing more and putting more emphasis back on the photos. So basically, unless you're 100 years old, like Instagram is 99, like it's very heavy into video right now, right? It's basically the exact same thing as Facebook. It's just a different shape. Like it's all video content, reels.
Right.
Now, tell me a little bit about what they're considering focusing on for 2023.
I actually forget if I heard this on another podcast or if it was a report, but their editor-in-chief for Instagram said that they would really like to prioritize photos more so in 2023 because they felt like videos had just overtaken the platform and they wanted to kind of go back to Instagram's route. Which did start out as just a photo, upload your photo app. Even the logo is a camera. It used to be a Polaroid. So that was pretty interesting to hear. That would be a massive change.
Huge.
Massive change.
Huge.
Does it mean like you don't do video no more or not necessarily. It just means like you're gonna use different tools for different platforms. But like them announcing that change, it obviously impacts content strategy.
Totally. Yeah, it does, because now there's the diversification of like your content mix. It's like you can't just potentially, you got to keep an eye on this. Maybe it's not going to be so easy to just take whatever you do on Instagram and pop it on Facebook too, just by hitting a button. And I actually kind of think it makes sense, because it's like, if you're Meta, you own Facebook, you own Instagram, you don't want to mess up a good thing. You have a good thing going, but pretty much they're the same exact thing. Like, what is different? Like, what can you do on Facebook that you can't do on Instagram? Really? Like business profile you have. I mean, you can't post a job listing, but really 99% of the stuff that you can do on Facebook, you can do on Instagram, and they're the same company. So it kind of makes sense. Maybe he's thinking, like, we have these two platforms. Why don't we do something a little bit different? Make one have some kind of slight niche, So I don't hate it if they're going to play around with it.
And I think what was happening was Instagram was overtaking Facebook as well, because if you notice, like if you open up a reel on Facebook, it would say open up in Instagram. It was taking over, where it's, you don't want to lose that differentiation that you had between the two.
Yeah, especially because you have that marketplace on Facebook. You want a lot of people on Facebook still. So
definitely. And going back to photos, I mean, by the way, it's not a bad thing for businesses at all. It actually just means you can actually like more streamline your content strategy for that platform, because if it's all like in static image, now you can kind of mix in either post about, like, it depends on what you do, but post about you. Now you can work in graphics, like different types. So there's always going to be an avenue to market. It's just you're just going to have to switch the content strategy a bit.
I totally agree. One thing I wanted to talk about, it was a question I keep getting, so I got it a few times over the past week, is age demos on the platform. And if your age demographic is, say 25-year-olds to 35-year-olds, I kept hearing from clients like, oh, well, like, I can't be on Facebook, that's all old people. Or, hey, like I need like to target like older people who are getting ready to retire. I can't be on Instagram. And these are people who want to run paid advertising. So I want to make something very clear and kind of see how you guys handle those conversations. The age demographics on these platforms, they matter in the margins. So if you're looking to develop a brand and an organic following of 18-year-old kids and you're an influencer, then you're going to have less friction if you're doing that on TikTok, Snapchat, because those platforms skew that direction. So on the margins, there is a big difference. But when you're talking about billions of people on these platforms and you say, oh, well, there's no 65-year-old people on Instagram.
Yeah.
That is not true.
It's a Venn diagram with a lot of overlap.
Yeah, there's a shitload of 65-year-old peoples because there's 7 billion people in the world and there's 4 billion on Instagram. There's plenty of 65-year-olds. So when you're actually running like paid advertising, you can target those. You can target age demographics, things like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if you're running paid ads, you can choose to show your content to only 65.
Exactly, and that's what I was trying to tell them.
Yeah, so even on the organic side of things, it's marginal.
Yeah.
But on the paid ad side of things, you're in control.
Absolutely.
So if there is a very niche objective that you choose and maybe that specific audience in your target market is like very limited, then Meta and them will tell you on Ads Manager, hey, like your audience size is pretty small, you might have to like expand a little bit, but that's very rare.
Very rare.
Happens. Like you have to be very, very niche to do that. But if you're running paid ads, I would say the age demographic should be, should not be a concern if you're worried about if I'm going to find the right people or not.
If you have a 10, 15 year age range, you're going to be fine on pretty much anything. It's only if you're like 28-year-olds in Pawtucket, very specific.
The one example I always give to people is if you only have enough energy and time to post on 2 platforms, right? And you're a luxury real estate agent and you are looking for buyers and sellers of multi-million-dollar houses, I would not recommend using Snapchat as one of the, don't use that as one of your bullets because one, it's really hard to develop an organic following on a platform like that. So you just can't. And 2, it's really not that demo. Like that is not the demo to invest in that sort of market. You might get following, you might get a followership, but I mean, realistically,
is it the right kind of
are those qualified buyers or are you going to get people who just like looking at sick houses?
I'm glad you brought up
That's
that
my thought.
Industry too, because depending on your industry, each platform could be used a little bit differently. Like there's some industries where your Instagram profile is your portfolio. It's like all your work. It kind of is your LinkedIn. And then there's other industries where your LinkedIn is your LinkedIn or your Facebook is your LinkedIn. So in accounting for that makes sense too.
Yeah, absolutely. Some other stuff that's just current events that I wanted to go over. We talked a lot about VR, AR, and I thought it was worth noting that the Apple VR headset, they set a release date for that in 2023, or didn't set a release date, just said it's coming out this year, and it's supposed to be like a $3,000 headset. It's going to be insane. So they're following suit with, they put out the new over-ear headphones that were like $500, so now they're just like going way over the top, but I hear it's going to be sick. So that's something to keep an eye on,
and
too.
they've had plenty of time to work on it. I mean, this is their first one. And, I mean, knowing Apple, they're not just going to...
Yeah, it's not going to suck.
No, it's going to be dope. And it's going to integrate with everything. So I'm excited to see that, like how it works with the ecosystem. And the really reason why I brought this up is where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't use a VR headset. I don't know anyone who uses VR regularly. However, when I see like 5 of the biggest companies in the world all investing this much R&D, this much time, this much effort into it, I have a really hard time believing they aren't manifesting this into existence where it's like, okay, Meta does this, Samsung does this, Apple does this. They have to be something here.
And we talked about this, even the changes with ad tools, all of these, yes, it can be in response to iOS updates and everything that has happened in the past, but a good amount of these, it also looks like they're positioning themselves for future tools.
Correct.
Whether, even if you look at Facebook, like Horizon Worlds, it's like you can very well see that if that gains enough momentum, how like now you'll be able to create a business profile on there, and maybe now it's like a virtual storefront.
Yeah.
And you can like wear these glasses and you can walk into these storefronts virtually with your friends, and maybe it's like an actual live stream happening of a catalog. Like there's so much endless potential that it definitely seems like they're gearing up towards that. So it's something to definitely not underestimate.
No, for sure. It's just like anything. It's the friction. You have to lower if the product is sick, like VR is cool as shit. If you've ever put on a headset and really done something, like objectively, it's very cool. But there has to be some sort of application for it, and there has to be some, like, you have to lower the friction of either purchasing it, which means getting the prices down to realistic places, or two, just like, you can't have some big goofy headset where you're wearing. You can't do that all the time. It's both
lower price points, more wearability,
and like some sort of function to get people to use it all the time.
And it's so realistic.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like people think it's not, it's virtual. It is very realistic.
You're in there.
Oh yeah, it feels distorted.
I think I've said this on a podcast before. So I was actually at my my cousins over this summer, and they have a Facebook Oculus Quest headset, and I was playing around with it, and there were, first of all, the games. There was one game where, we got my dad to try it. He put on this headset. There was like this game where you have to like balance yourself, and you're on like this log between like two buildings, and if you like, otherwise you're gonna fall. He actually thought he was gonna fall. Like he was shaking. He was shaking because it's so realistic. Then there was another app that gives you like an actual like hike through like the mountains, and you actually felt like you were stepping on snow, and you climbed.
The haptic feedback and stuff.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And the last thing so it's a social network of its own. So you can have your friends also be part of like your world, your virtual world. So then you can go watch a movie together, like virtually and stuff. So you can walk into a theater. Yeah. You can choose your seats, and like it's actually playing on the big screen, and you're actually watching a movie, and it looked very real.
Yeah. Awesome.
So whether you like it or not, that doesn't matter.
They're gonna make
that doesn't matter.
It's going to appeal to anyone.
What you need to know is it is gaining traction. Yeah. The tools are constantly being evolved and added. Like more tools are being added, updated. Like they are investing heavily in this because more and more users are coming. More and more users are providing feedback, data. What could we do? What are users doing? It's like, so it's here to stay.
For sure.
Excited to see what Apple puts out though.
Yeah, it's going to be a disruptor, and when they do, we'll definitely check it out.
I think Apple has, if not the most data out of anyone. So it's we always talk about Facebook having data, Google having data, but let's not overlook the fact that Apple probably has the most data.
Yeah. But
Apple wants your privacy. Apple wants your information private from everyone. Except for them.
Right, exactly.
We will protect your data from everyone but us. And that's...
and Apple has something that these other people don't. Their own ecosystem.
That's it. Yeah, that's
like Facebook doesn't have a watch that's tracking data. It's like they've tried their best to...
have strategic partnerships.
Have different things, but it's like...
Apple knows your heart rate.
Yeah, it's like...
They do. They have a ton of health data. They have a ton of health data. Yeah,
so
it's really cool.
It's going to be cool.
Yeah, all right. So that's it for this week. But actually, we have some one last thing. We have some upcoming social media seminars. So if you're interested in learning about the fundamentals of social media marketing, if you're interested in actually hearing us talk about social media, digital marketing, you have questions, those are coming up at the Chamber of Commerce. For me, I'm doing one at the Central Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce and Southern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. Those dates are all on Facebook. Go to their Facebook pages for it. And then, Russ, you had some stuff coming up too, right? You wanted to ask for a little help, right?
Unconfirmed, same thing. Couple seminar series potentially going on in Central Mass. So we'll announce those when they are solidified.
And you were looking for a little bit of feedback. So anyone out there who's interested, what are your questions? What do you want to hear about? What would bring you value on the side of social media marketing, digital marketing? What do you want to hear Russ talk about? Send those comments to us, DM us, let us know so that we can put something together. Because at the end of the day, we're just trying to bring you guys as much value as we can.
I think it would be great as well to have it, like hypothetically, if we were going to do a full day in the studio, like put 25 chairs in here, what would you guys want to learn about for a whole day, a half day, whatever it is? Like, just what would your crash course ideally be?
Yeah. So let us know in the comments below. In the DMs, let us know what you want to hear, and we'll put something together for you. All right, thanks again. And any last words? Anything you guys want to say?
I'm good. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
All right, have a great weekend. See you guys.